Hey, I'm Grant with Geotrek, and this is the Convoy layout. So the Convoy is one of two layouts that we offer here at Geotrek, and it really came to be after just getting some feedback from customers that wanted more space up front to hang out at the campsite, have a little bit more capacity for friends and family, and it all starts with the double swivel seat up front. So every Convoy is going to have this. We turn both the driver and the passenger seat into swivels, so you can turn them around and turn this front area into kind of your lounge and hangout zone. This is really sweet if you're hanging out with friends at the campsite, at the ski lodge, at the trailhead, whatever. This spot is awesome. And then right here you have a lagoon table with a bench. Now this will pull out so that you can sit across from your partner or friend, whatever it may be. This lagoon table can be moved to different parts throughout the van. So right here you see I have it mounted on the wall right now, but you can also pull off this post and put it on either seat here and just kind of move the table around to where you're going to use it. Across from the driver's swivel seat, the Convoy is going to come with a bench seat. So this also doubles as storage. You can put a toilet in there, your boots, a bunch of gear, and you can actually lock this, which is cool. Of course, doubles as a seat right here, so you can sit across from somebody. You can also adjust this and work here. Sometimes I find it's nice to move around throughout the day if you're working remote. And then this also allows flexibility for a jump seat. So a lot of folks that have kiddos or friends that they're bringing along want to put a jump seat with seat belts in the back of their van. So to do that, we would just pull this bench out, and that allows the perfect space right here for a two-person jump seat with seat belts. Kind of the more of these layouts we've built, the more we've realized like this hangout area is really cool if that's your style. So one thing unique about the Convoy layout is we're going to have a cabinet and countertop on the passenger side. So that's going to integrate our fridge here. This is a Vitrafigo 85-liter fridge freezer. Runs off a 12-volt, super efficient. One thing that we value in all of our builds is that they operate completely off-grid, meaning you don't have to plug into an RV hookup to run your appliances. So this is great because it runs very efficiently with our lithium system and has pretty solid capacity. So we have obviously some cans in the door. We've got our fridge section down low here, and then a little freezer cubby there. You can fit a half-gallon of ice cream in there, which is pretty awesome. Once I close this up, you'll notice we also have a drawer right above it. Found this is super nice just for like little knickknacks and utensils that you're using maybe to cook. And that'll just lock into place. You'll notice that every single cabinet, drawer, anything we have in here is going to lock down. That's so that when we're driving on uneven roads or washboard roads, everything stays really silent and in place. I like on this side having some extra counter space, so it's super nice if you're cooking or hanging out in here to just have all of this counter space. And you'll see that even this lagoon table offers a bit of an extension for that. Another add-on for counter space, if you're feeling crazy, is a little fold down table right here. So we call this the happy hour table. It's not on this van, I wish it was. But what it allows for is basically just a fold down extension of counter space, and you can set a drink or appetizers, whatever you're doing. So coming around to the inside of this cabinet, you'll see we have another drawer right here. This, for me, houses the induction stove, which I like to keep off of the counter. It just gives you more accessible space up here and tucks away nicely. So if I want to use this, I'll just set it up on the counter or down on that happy hour table, and then you have an AC outlet right here that you can plug into and cook. The other option would be you can have an induction stove just inset in the counter, permanently fixed. It's a double burner, but the trade-off is just kind of that counter space. So below the drawer, we'll have two cubbies. These are cut out open face for storage. And then I actually like to use this right here as a step up onto the bed. Kind of nice. A lot of camper vans, RVs, travel trailers tend to skimp out on the sink, I think. And you end up with like these dinky little excuses for a sink. And we've found that it's super valuable to have a full-size sink, a faucet that moves around, and just have that versatility around water in your van. So on all of our vans, we're gonna have the option for your gray water capacity. There's trade-offs to both. So in this van, we have a 6-gallon internal, so inside the van, gray water tank. What this allows for is if you're in super cold temps, or you're in bear country, or you're somewhere that you don't necessarily want to be carrying dirty water on the outside of the van, this is a great option. So super simple, water drains down through the sink, goes into this 6-gallon tank right here, and then this whole thing will pull out to be drained in a safe dump site. The alternative is you can do an under chassis mount 22-gallon gray tank. What that allows is obviously much more capacity, and then some more storage under your sink because you don't have a tank under there. So when we do the undermount tank, those are amazing for ease of use. But if you're spending a ton of time in your van in the winter, you do have to be cognizant about water under your van freezing up. Super easy if you keep an eye on it, but to some folks that are ski bums or live in Alaska, etc., it can be more to monitor. So under your cabinet here, we're gonna have a full-sized power strip. You got 6 AC plugs under here for any kitchen appliance. We're also gonna have that run right here. So 2 AC plugs, 2 USBs, and a USB-C, and then the same plug-in on the countertop here. We found it's nice to have plugs all over the van for different appliances so you don't have to run a cord. So on our driver's side, we're gonna have our signature overhead cabinets. It goes from front to back. We love these for storage options, and I feel like we've really refined these over time to make them just super, super solid and dead quiet on the road. So I mentioned earlier that we make sure to latch everything, make sure to make everything super silent, and that's something we really value on all of the cabinets. So this latch we found to be awesome, really dead silent. We have felt tipped doors, and those just lock in super, super solid. Also signature to all of our Geotrek builds, we're gonna have zoned lighting. So these are all on different switches. You have your LED lights up top, you have your strip light under the cabinet, and then you have your reading lights on the side. Now I can turn on my rear lights if I'm just about to go to bed or just want it over the bed. I can turn on my front lights, vice versa, up in the lounge area, up in the kitchen. You can turn on your strip light and even cut off the LEDs. Makes kind of a cool ambiance in here. And then you have your reading lights, which of course you can use for reading, or sometimes I'll just have that light on here. This is the dimmest version of lighting, and these lights will actually dim down even further. So all kinds of options, different ambiances, and different use cases. We're gonna have our S-Bar heater. These are awesome because they're very efficient and compatible with an off-grid lifestyle because they pull off of your fuel tank. They don't use much electricity at all. It'll just tap right into your fuel tank, whether it's gas or diesel, and heat the van super efficiently. Moving back to our bed here, this is another super unique thing about the Convoy layout. So we're gonna have an east-west bed. That means that once I jump up here, I'm gonna be sleeping with my head and feet perpendicular to the van. Now, there's different options for this. On this van, I have the bump outs. These are an add-on for us so that you can kind of configure the sleeping length to what you need. Adding one bump out on the driver's side is gonna make this east-west 6'2", and then adding 2 or another one on the passenger side is gonna make it 6'7". So right now with 2, there's plenty of sleeping space right here. I have 6'7" of length. Most folks don't need that, which is why we make it an option. If you're under 5'9", which is what the length is without bump outs, then you can totally get away without them. You'll also notice I'm sitting here with plenty of headroom, no need to hunch over, and can just kind of hang out on top of the bed. But it's important to strike the balance because many folks want to put stuff under the bed, whether it's bikes, skis, dog crates. So we found that this height, which is 35 inches, is kind of the sweet spot for maintaining some room up top, but also having plenty of storage in your garage area. Right above me, you'll also notice there's a max air fan. This is a dual direction, so it can do intake or exhaust. Nice to have the option. And we're gonna include this in all of our builds. So it's always gonna be right above the bed here. You do have the option to swap this to an AC unit. So we use the Pneumatic X2 awesome off-grid. That's an add-on, and I would swap out the max air spot so you could have AC in the back. You'll notice under the bed here, very open concept. So we have stood by this where, you know, everybody has their own sense of what they're gonna do with this space. On the water setup, we have our intake valve right here. The bottom here around the wheel well is a 25-gallon freshwater tank. So like I said, we really value time off-grid. We think you should have a large tank and a lot of freshwater capacity. So this build is going to include our EcoFlow power kit. One of the reasons we really love this system is it allows for all different sorts of lithium configurations. So you can change your size based on what you're going to be using it for. So reach out to us. We're happy to consult based on what your intended use is. We've played with these a lot, and we have a great idea of what power capacities go with different uses. So going up to our roof here, we're going to check out a couple things. First off, I've got the Gen 3 Starlink on here. This thing is awesome. I actually just did a week in Oregon at Van Expos, etc., working from the road, and this thing was dope. You get really good internet service. I think I was doing 200 megabytes per second. Really just an awesome option. Now an add-on at Geotrek. Up front here, we have a 450 watt solar panel. So a lot of RVs, you'll see smaller stuff, 200 watts, 100 watts. Geotrek really values time off grid and being able to boondock for days on end, not being beholden to plugging in at an RV site. So one of the ways that we combat that is a really big solar panel. And we just include this. This comes in the standard build and offers as a third source of input on your power system. So that gives you the ability to stay off grid for longer. If you want to go crazy off grid, and this kind of depends on what your output is going to be, what your appliances you're running is going to be, you can actually upgrade your solar. So I believe we're one of the few that can fit 600 watts of solar on the roof of a Sprinter 144. And we've really maxed out the space, but it can be a really, really cool option for extending that off-grid time even further. 600 watts of solar on the roof and the ability to add an AC unit and a max fan still, and then even a second one in the front. So you could do 2 max fans, or you could do a max fan and an AC unit. Really cool option if you're big on off-grid use. So that's the Convoy. If you'd like to learn more, or if you'd like to build your own, head to geotrekvans.com.